Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid accuses the Office of Special Prosecutor of engaging in what it calls public theatrics over claims assets worth over 100 million Ghana cedis linked to the case has been seized. And much later on the program, dozens of excavators and Shamfan machines seized in latest crackdown on illegal mining activities in Ashanti region as EPA enforces ban. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the government says it will take all administrative and legal steps to recover any amount due the Electricity Company of Ghana and the state over contractual dealings with Power Distribution Service (PDS). It follows a favourable determination by the London International Court of Arbitration over dispute which arose over the botched power concession agreement in 2019. PDS dragged ECG and the government of Ghana to the International Court, arguing that the country breached terms of agreement in the decision to terminate the concession agreement between the two. Well, in the last 24 hours, a determination has come through from the London International Court of Arbitration, bringing to an end the near 5-year battle. Let me walk you through really some bits of the details of the rulings. And in terms of the tribunal's key findings, it said PDS's claims were dismissed entirely. So the tribunal ruled that PDS had no valid basis for compensation. It also said that demand guarantees were declared void ab initio, invalid. That's invalid from the onset. Now it says under both Ghana and Qatari law, the guarantees were never legally binding. Again, a fraud involving AI Kut insurance officials invalidated the guarantees. The tribunal found no evidence of fraud or malfeasance by PDS, but still ruled the guarantees void due to the fraud of third parties. Again, conditions precedent 24 and 31 were not satisfied or waived. That means that these CPs related to provided valid payment securities under the BSA and LAA. Now, the non-fulfillment meant the agreement never reached operational phase. ECG was entitled to terminate the lease and assignment agreement, that's LAA, and bulk supply agreement, that's BSA. Now, the tribunal confirmed that ECG lawfully terminated both agreements under the LAA, that's Article 26C, on 23rd of October 2019. Again, the TDCL, that's transfer date confirmation letter, was found voidable for common mistake, not for misrepresentation. ECG properly rescinded it through its letter of July 30 and the 23rd of October 2019. In terms of jurisdiction and center claims, the tribunal had jurisdiction to interpret the TDCL, but no jurisdiction over dispute arising from the later interim protocol signed after suspension in August 2019. ECG's counterclaims regarding the CPs were equally dismissed. It says that the LAA stands for Lease and Assignment Agreement, which was, and indeed this was the main contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and Power Distribution Services, PDS. It also allowed PDS to lease, manage, and operate ECG's electricity distribution assets, substations, lines, equipment, etc. for a 20-year period. So those were some of the details. Shortly, we should be speaking to the spokesperson of the Energy Ministry, Richmond Roxon, there with some more on this. But ahead of that, the legal team of former Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, is pushing back strongly against the Office of the Special Prosecutor. This follows claims by the OSP that assets are worth over 100 million Ghana cedis linked to Dr. Abdul Hamid had been seized. In a statement issued by Hay and Partners, Dr. Abdul Hamid's lawyers described the OSP's filed on the 17th of October 2025 lists 5 counts of alleged offences, but none mentions any asset or properties connected to Dr. Abdul Hamid. Meanwhile, the High Court Criminal Division is scheduled to hear on November 13 an application filed by Dr. Abdul Hamid seeking the release of his passport in the ongoing 291 million Ghana cedi case involving allegations of extortion, abuse of office, and money laundering against him and 9 others in connection with the National Petroleum Authority. Dr. Abdul Hamid argues that the release of his passport is necessary to enable him to travel to Canada for a political engagement. The Republic, however, has opposed the application. As part of his bail conditions, the accused was ordered by the court to surrender his passport and remains on the OSP's stop list. Now, in a forceful strike against the scourge of illegal mining in the country, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has launched a major operation targeting excavators, chamfan machines, and other equipment used in Galamsey. To combat Galamsey, shifting focus.
Our estimation and also reports from World Bank confirms that we have about 3 million hectares of land that are degraded, and it takes us all to restore the land. If we have to get all this land back to its original state, it involves backfilling the holes, giving the water or the rivers their original path, planting the trees that were there, and get the place back in order. That's a huge cost on the state. Government, EPA, we are advocating
the situation and bring some relief to farmers.
On the front of rice, there is a seemingly illegal or smuggling into the country, mainly coming from the northern borders. And what we are clear, we are saying that the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industries with its agency, Food and Drugs Authority and Standards Authority, should go to the market and authenticate substandard rice. If these are not approved rice in the system and they are substandard, they should be confiscated. We are calling for a very comprehensive audit of all rice brands on the market. We want the National Security, the Ghana Revenue Authority. We want all the agencies that should go out there, validate all the brands of rice we have on our market today. Go out there. What you do is that you pick all the brands, then find out who are the importers, who are the processors, and who are branding this. And check in your system, has this brand and this company paid any tax to the government? Because there are import losses, okay? When you import, you pay taxes, and government will be losing that.
Now, the investigative committee formed to look into the recent boat accident that occurred in the Karachi East municipality has submitted its report to the Ghana Maritime Authority. The boat accident, which occurred on a section of the Water Lake last month, claimed 15 lives, including 11 children. Let's go to correspondent Faisal Abdul Idrisu. He joins us live on the phone. Faisal, if you can tell us what do you know regarding what is really contained in this investigative report?
Well, so the investigative report was submitted to management of the Ghana Maritime Authority and the board yesterday in Karachi. Even though the full details were not disclosed to us, two key issues which form part of the recommendations the committee is making were highlighted. One is the issue of fishing boats being used by the locals as commercial passenger vessels. The committee is saying that authorities, including the Ghana Maritime Authority, must take action to ensure that the use of fishing boats for commercial purposes, the carrying of passengers, must be halted. They are also calling on authorities to ensure that the use of life jackets becomes a mandatory requirement for anyone who is operating a commercial boat. These, they say, must be done within the shortest possible time to ensure safety as far as water transport on our inland waters is concerned. Vice chairman of the committee is Naval Captain Isaac Abu Mahama, who presented a report to the management of the Ghana Maritime Authority yesterday and that of the board. Let's have a listen to what he said right after that presentation.
For the boat operators to stop using fishing boats for carrying passengers. Fishing boats are made for fishing and not for carrying passengers. They have boats that are designed for carrying passengers, so that we all resort to using those boats for carrying passengers. And the service boat that they normally use is only for a family, a husband, wife, and children when they are going to market as a private boat. And it's not for carrying goods and then passengers, life jacket. Once you are on the boat, you should wear your life jacket. So that's another recommendation.
And he had the vice chair of that committee set up to look into that boat disaster. But Faisal is still on the line with us. If you can tell us, we do know that the authority now has the report. Have officials been telling you anything at all regarding what's in there?
The issue of life jacket, the Ghana Maritime Authority had earlier engaged boat operators in Pando Toko in the Volta region and also in Dambai in the Karachi East municipality. And what they are saying is that they are going to make available life jackets that will be given to the boat operators on discounted fee. Yesterday, when we got to Karachi, after that report was presented, they told us that they have no knowledge of the content of the report yet, and so they have accepted it. They will go back and look at it and ensure that the recommendations that have been made by the committee are fully implemented to ensure safety. It is important also to state that ever since the incident happened, you still go to the inland water points. You go to Pando Toko, you go to Dambai, Karachi. these boats are still operating without life jackets, and it remains a concern that even persons who are not using the boat are raising that the authority must make sure that the boat operators do not operate if they don't have life jackets. Let's listen to the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali.
Also opening an office here. The office accommodation has been secured, and then we are posted staff here. So the working visit is also allowed the board and management to see the office space and to see how we quickly make sure that the office they start working. Whilst here, we are taking opportunity to also receive.
And you have Dr. Kamaldeen Ali. He is the boss of the Ghana Maritime Authority. We do apologize for that poor quality of sound. Let's return to our earlier story about the Chamber of Agribusiness calling on the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Agribusiness, together with its allied agencies, to a comprehensive audit of all rice brands on the Ghanaian market to validate the sources because of glut of locally produced rice. We're joined on the line now by Dr. Charles Nyaba. He's a leading member of the Committee for the Promotion of Local Rice and Other Commodities. Okay, Doc, if you can hear us, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, and let me thank 3FM for also promoting our agenda.
Indeed. If you could kindly help us understand the current situation with the rice glut. We've had a number of stories over the last few weeks, and with whether or not it's not being created by overproduction or importation, like we're hearing your group tell us.
Yeah, so if you look at the current situation, I do agree that we can't attribute 100% to overproduction. But this is our bumper season. Every year around this time, if nothing is done, farmers always have enough to sell. They have enough after harvest, and that's used to actually cater for other expenses of production. Now, this year's situation is different from previous years because there hasn't been market. What we harvested and sold last year and reserved to sell and use for this year production, we've not been able to sell it from the beginning of the season to date. And the reason is simple. When the exchange rate or when the city gains strength against the other major currencies, our rice is expensive, the imported price is cheaper. So we saw importers and business people now bringing this rice through unapproved borders. Now, at the same time, government also blocked exportation of certain commodities like the soya bean, rice, and maize. So this has made it difficult to be produced to go out, and people are also bringing more to come and dump on us. It started the season. Usually, when you go into harvesting, farmers will have exhausted all their income. So what we do is to go into barter arrangement with the combined harvesters. So that when they harvest, they take 1 bag per acre. If they harvest 10 acres, they take 10 bags. So in that case, you don't need to struggle to get to do the harvest.
Doc, if you can tell us... Okay, please land.
Yeah. I said by now we should have been closing the harvesting season. But when you go to most of the rice valleys, the rice is still standing there, no harvest, and those who harvested no market, and the whole place is flooded with paddy rice. So that is the current situation that we are facing.
How bad is this affecting the farmers themselves?
It's just affecting us because if you are able to harvest, the Harmattan is just approaching very soon. Most of those farms that will not be able to harvest by the whole place will be burned. So it means we can even record 100% harvest. Those who harvest, what price people are giving them, they are taking it. Yesterday, I got calls from communities that some buying 100 kg for 150 Ghana cedis.
Doc, I'm sorry, we're losing you. If you would kindly reposition yourself so we can hear you clearly. But I still wanted to find out whether you support suggestions for authorities to validate all rice brands in the country. Hello? Okay, we seem to have lost Dr. Charles Nyaba there, who was sharing his views with us concerning the gluts regarding locally produced rice on the market. Let's bring you some more here. And this afternoon, the Sunyani Technical University is struggling to recover and protect some 35 acres of land belonging to the institution, which is being encroached on by faceless individuals working with land guards. The Vice-Chancellor, Engineer Professor Kwadwo Dinkrapia, told the Public Accounts Committee today that the university received a request of compensation from a woman who claimed to relate to a family that originally owned the land. Let's hear what happened at the committee.
Yes, please. The rest of the land is very safe because we have built almost across. But unfortunately, the other side, we didn't have any presence. And that is why when they started, it was difficult for us to show. In fact, we attempted building fence wall, they demolished. Anything that we put there, they demolished. We went to put 2 metal containers. We thought as for metal containers, they could not do anything harm to it. So the containers are still there, but they have sold the land around it. So if you attempt going there, you see people wielding machetes at you and all that. So it has become very difficult for the staff of the university to actually penetrate.
And that's it for the midday news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Sedu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily. Do stay with us.
FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Greetings in the name of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie,
It has always been a journey of Pan-Africanism and consciousness. It is your regular taxi driver with the urban blend on 3FM 92.7 in living stereo every day, Monday to Friday, from 12:30 p.m. till 3 p.m. This is the show everybody listens to, so your business will certainly do well here. My name, Blakk Rasta. I am the rootical, hairtical, Don Gargan, Mua Fire, Rhythm, come forward. Atinga ya chika fankare, Azure ya chika fankare, Abama ta chika fankare.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
They're the best. Turn it up.
3FM. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, PwC Ghana welcomes October inflation drop to 8%, says it's a positive signal for businesses, but true relief must reach households.
as expected, it's a good signal for the business community. The follow-through effects, I think, to the day-to-day lives of people is what I guess we're waiting to see.
Meanwhile, Ghana reference rate inches up to 17.93% for November, signaling possible slight rise in lending costs despite earlier downward trend. And later in the bulletin, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation (GNPC) poised to ensure Ghanaians take leading role in the country's upstream petroleum sector. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. Country senior partner of PwC Ghana, Vish Ashiagbo, has described the October 2025 inflation rate of 8% as a good signal for the business community. Inflation rate dropped to 8% year-on-year in October against 9.4% in September, lowest since May 2021 and the 10th straight month decline. He, however, noted that the real impact will be seen in how the decline translates into better living conditions for Ghanaians, adding that while the direction is right, more work is needed to push inflation even lower.
It's been on a downward trend for a while now. Obviously, when the minister read the mid-year, actually the target for the year, as I recall, the end-year target was about 11.5 or so. But of course, by the time minister presented the mid-year, it was clear that he would beat that target, although he retained it for the mid-year. So I think it's, as expected, it's a good signal for the business community. The follow-through effects, I think, to the day-to-day lives of people is what I guess we're waiting to see, but in the right direction. But 8%, I think, is not too low. And actually, I think we'd like to see it go lower than 8%. Yes, in our environment, single-digit inflation has been a challenge. So yes, we think 8% is a good place to be. However, if you look at different parts of the world, or even if you look to neighboring countries, particularly the Francophone zone, they have inflation at much lower rates than 8%. So I don't think we would say that 8% is too low, or that we're satisfied with 8%. It can get much lower, and we look forward to that.
Senior country partner of PwC Ghana, Vish Ashiagbo, speaking there. Meanwhile, the Ghana reference rate, a key benchmark used by banks to set lending rates, has inched up slightly for November 2025. Data from the Ghana Association of Banks shows the rate rose from 17.86% in October to 17.93% following marginal increases in treasury bills and interbank rates.
The Ghana reference rate has gone up slightly for November 2025, moving from 17.86% in October to 17.93%. Data from the Ghana Association of Banks attributes the uptick to marginal increases in key indicators such as treasury bill rates, which rose from 10.5% to 10.67%, and interbank rates, which edged up from 20.93% to 21%. This follows a 2% drop in October, when the rate fell from 19.86% in September, continuing a steady decline seen since the start of the year. The rate, which was as high as 29.96% in February, has eased in line with falling inflation and the Bank of Ghana's policy rate cuts. However, the latest rise could translate into slightly higher lending rates for businesses and individuals, especially those on variable rate loans. Analysts say, while the increase is marginal, it comes at a time when many firms are still grappling with limited access to credit and tight liquidity conditions in the banking sector. The Ghana reference rate, introduced in 2017, serves as a transparent benchmark for loan pricing across commercial banks.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report by my colleague Bismarck Ousa. Now, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, says it is working actively to ensure Ghanaians take a leading role in the country's upstream petroleum sector. Since the discovery of oil in commercial quantities, the space has been largely dominated by major international oil companies. But speaking at the Petroleum Commission's local content conference, the chief executive of GNPC said the corporation is making deliberate efforts to create an enabling environment for indigenous businesses to thrive in the industry.
GNPC is a $2 billion per annum enterprise, with a significant portion of our procurement controlled by partners who operate different aspects on our behalf. Indeed, that's the nature of the industry, where amongst joint venture partners, one is selected to operate on behalf of the others. We are, however, rapidly becoming an emerging force that enables us to operate on our own or on behalf of others, thus controlling a significant portion of the EMP procurement. So through the pathways that we're charting from offshore to our inland basins, we're steadily bringing control back to Ghanaians. The opportunities in both existing fields offshore and the Voltairean Basin provide new space for indigenous companies to thrive and blossom. I think the Talo managing director referred to an MOU that we've signed to extend the license. And within that, we're seeking more significant interest.
You hear the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC Chief Executive Officer Kwame Nto Amwa speaking there. Now, the Ghana Publishers Association says artificial intelligence, AI, is not a threat to the industry, but rather an enabler that will complement, not replace traditional publishing. The association is, however, calling on government to provide clear policy direction to regulate and sanitize the sector. AI is transforming industries by automating tasks, sparking concerns over job losses and the erosion of creative roles. In publishing, it raises questions about authorship, originality, and copyright. But members of the Ghana Publishers Association believe AI and emerging technologies will serve as tools, not take over the space.
The publishing business cannot be extinct. It just adapts. If the world decides that we are using tablets and all that, the content is key. And the publisher develops the content. So publishing can never be extinct. If publishing gets extinct, it means education is gone.
Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the association's annual general meeting, President Asari Kunedu Yamwa stressed the need for robust regulations to uphold industry standards.
The game changer, as we said, to me, is the policy initiatives. What policies are set in place to guide the industry? When we talk about the book industry, we are talking about publishers, printers, writers, educationists, and all those people. What is the policy? Even in the area of marketing of books, what policy guidelines are we all setting?
Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority has set an ambitious target to significantly expand the national tax base by aiming to register 8 million new taxpayers. This will increase the total number of registered taxpayers from the current 1.9 million. Commissioner General of the GRA, Anthony Kwesi Sapong, made this known at the